we want to welcome Nicole Gibson to Chicago, and Nicole's a surrogate with Ulan RGI, and we're going to ask Nicole a couple questions about being a surrogate and her background and her family, so we get an idea a little bit about who Nicole is. Nicole, can you tell us if you've ever been a surrogate before?
No, sir, I have not.
Okay. And what made you decide you'd like to become a surrogate for a couple that's unable to conceive and have a baby?
I have two very rambunctious children of my own, and I have also some very close girlfriends of mine who've been struggling with infertility. So it's something that I've looked into, and just thought that it'd be such a great opportunity to be able to help somebody else to grow their family. That's just what I've always wanted to be, was a mama. And so I definitely get that burden to want to have children. So to be able to help somebody that couldn't would be a pretty good opportunity.
Very good. Do you have any particular values you bring to surrogacy when you're having your babies? What are some of your values in terms of motherhood?
Motherhood. Just trying to be healthy, trying to keep positive, trying to just, have a good attitude about everything, and teaching my children, trying to keep that through the pregnancy as well.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about your family? Are you married, and do you have children? Tell us a little bit about your children.
I am married. My husband is a state trooper with the state of Tennessee, and we have two boys. They are 2 and 3. Seth just turned 2 last week, so he's my baby and all growing up. And my oldest is Noah. He's 15 and a half months older than his brother. He just turned 3 in February. So they keep me very, very busy, but they are a lot of fun.
And what about your partner? What's your husband's name, and how can you give us a little description on your relationship?
His name is Anthony Blake, but he goes by his middle name. We have known each other for about 4.5 years now. We've been kind of dating and of course married, and we just hit it off really well. We became really good friends very quickly and just progressed into our relationship. We love watching football together and playing outside with the kids, and we do a lot of outdoor activities and water activities. My kids are water babies through and through, and just going on walks and playing with bikes and fun things like that. And we just all like to do it together.
So tell us a little bit about the children, the 2 boys. So what are their interests, and how much time do you spend with them, and how's the relationship between you, your husband, and your children?
Very good. My boys love cars and airplanes, so we occasionally will drive to the tiny airport that's in our town, and we'll go watch airplanes and the hang gliders, and we like to we drive around, and they point out school buses and big trucks and things like that. As much family activity as we can together. Just very quality time. I love to spend quality time with them. But like I said, we do a lot of outdoor. If they are outdoors, they are happy as can be, and so is my husband. So that's where we spend a majority of our time, unless we're sleeping.
Does your husband have any reservations regarding the legal relinquishment of the baby after he's born to the surrogates?
No.
To you?
No, it's something that we had talked about. And we had pursued, potential egg donorship and surrogacy is what seemed to fit us better, because it wouldn't be my DNA, it wouldn't be, any genetic link with our baby. It would be somebody else's. And we talked about it, and he said, would you spend this money to be able to have a child? Do you think we would do that if we weren't able to? And we both agreed, absolutely. So he gets it as well, and he agrees that it's something that's definitely great to be able to help another family.
Well, that's great that you discussed that issue. That doesn't happen so often. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a solid support system from your family and or your husband to help you with feelings that may be overwhelming, or things that happen in the household during your surrogacy?
Yeah, definitely. My husband is very much been encouraging of this whole situation, and every time I get a little nervous, just telling me that I do great. My main support system is actually his mother, so my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law, and they're both very much on board. They've asked their questions, we've talked about it, talked it through, and they're very much supportive of it. And if I ever get tired or nauseous, which happens occasionally, they've been more than happy to say that they would take the kids and watch them if I needed a break or something like that. So
that's great.
I definitely have some good support.
Can you describe the maternal feelings you experienced during your prior pregnancy? In other words, how it felt to be pregnant for you, and how you plan to deal with those feelings as a surrogate should they arise?
With my first two, I feel like I was, of course, over the moon the second that we found out. So it was something. It was very joyous. It was wonderful. I took a lot of pictures, had a lot of fun with it. And this is also something my husband and I discussed because that was his number one concern going into it is how are you going to be with this? But I said, if we go into it with the mindset that this is not our child, this is not our DNA, this is not our genetics, this is for somebody else, this is not for us, and just keeping that mindset and waking up with that every morning knowing this is why we're doing this. This is what this is. This isn't our child. Will it be fun to, play with the belly and, and the baby and feel the kicks and moves and stuff like that? Yeah, but this is for somebody else.
Oh, very good. That's nice. Yeah. Have you ever experienced any complications during pregnancy, and if so, what kind?
No, I haven't. My first son delivery, he was just coming down the birth canal sideways, a little bit crooked, so we ended up in a cesarean with that. But other than that, I labored great the whole way through it, and then my second son was just a repeat C-section, just because his brother was. So.
How do you, when it comes to the pregnancy, how do you take care of yourself when it comes to your health? What do you do? Any that is special things or routine things, whatever?
Routine. I know definitely dehydration is a huge issue, and I will absolutely tell you I despise water. So ice was, for whatever reason, my craving. I love ice, and I stayed hydrated very well through all of my pregnancies. I tend to, for whatever reason, not enjoy meat when I'm pregnant, and so I go very vegetables, very fresh, things like that, which ends up better in the long run for us. So that's just kind of generally what I do. Just try to take care of myself a little bit better. Prenatals, definitely.
That's good. So give me an idea on what a diet would be during a typical day during your last pregnancy.
I was home a lot more. I wasn't working with my son, so it would trying to eat every couple of hours. So in the morning it was something a little bit more small, some crackers, oatmeal, something like that. My husband loves chicken, turkey, things like that. So I still cooked that stuff for him. I would eat it occasionally. I generally kind of stuck more towards salads, unless I had a occasional craving for a slushie or something. But it was generally, fairly healthy stuff that I could cook, and salads and grilled chicken. I don't generally do beef. I don't ever do really pork. So it was a lot of just grilled veggies and healthy.
In terms of the diet, do you have to, in eating healthy, do you have to reach out for support, or do you all do all the cooking yourself?
I do all the cooking myself.
And if you ever become overwhelmed with morning sickness or other issues that come up during pregnancy, whatever they may be, how would you handle those? How would you typically handle a problem as it came up, if it with needing help, let's say?
Just with needing help with the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely my family. If it's something that's medical that I feel like needs attention, I definitely have a great relationship with my OB and all their nurses, and I have them on speed dial. So if it's something that needs medical attention, call them, ask their advice. If it's just your typical morning sickness, or I just feel really crummy and tired, call my mother-in-law and just say, hey, listen, I need help.
Yeah.
Because we get sick occasionally. Us mamas don't get sick days, but they're always down there in a heartbeat to help take care of the kids or help entertain them for a little while, so I can go fix myself up and freshen up.
And this is a question about the pregnancy. Should more than one embryo be implanted and all of them succeed? What are your feelings regarding fetal reduction or abortion if it's the couple's wish to have no more than one child?
I would prefer a singleton pregnancy. I had, as in my psych eval when I was talking to the psychiatrist, said that I would be okay if there was one embryo and it transferred or it split into two. I would be okay with that. Reduction just because I have a harder time with. I don't feel like that's something that I could do. Okay. Just because, for no medical reason.
Are you willing to carry twins?
If one embryo were to split into two, I would.
But not as a planned event.
But not as a plan. Let's transfer multiple embryos.
Are you willing to work with your surrogate agencies, the IVF doctors, and the OB/GYN doctors to take all the necessary tests and screening to qualify and to travel to out of state for operations if necessary? Okay. And are you willing to work under the instruction of surrogacy support staff to provide all the data and information that's required by the client, the intended parent?
Yes, sir.
What kind of expectations do you have for your relationship with the intended parents couple after the birth?
After the birth, I'd love to see pictures occasionally. Maybe just know how the child's doing and make sure everything is doing okay. Just to kind of get an update, not a weekly thing. Maybe once a year, birthday pictures, things like that would be nice. Not something that I would really demand. I guess that would be just whatever the intended parents were comfortable with as well.
Would you expect to see a Christmas card and a photo of the baby every year?
Expect it? No. If I got it, it would be nice.
And do you have any would you have any desire to have any future contact with the child as the child grows into adulthood?
If that's something that the child would like, I feel like I would be okay with that. If they had questions or something like that,
Sure.
or just wanted to know me a little bit better, I'd be okay with that.
Another sensitive issue is abortion and adoption issues. Abortion generally is not allowed in ULAN's Surrogacy Assistant Program terms of service. We have consulted the intended parents clearly on this and asked them to sign the terms of services before ULAN took them in the program. But in case the couple divorced or either one of the two passed away during the pregnancy, would you consider accepting an abortion?
No.
Okay.
I would feel like that wouldn't be. No.
Well,
I would like that situation, I guess,
This
discussed
is a very remote
Yeah.
chance that
Yeah.
would happen.
Yeah.
Okay. And if the above tragic events occurred and you did not prefer an abortion, would you be interested in adopting the child through an arranged agreement?
Potentially, possibly.
In the case the newborn is found with defects, diseases, or disabilities to some degree, even though the intended parents are required to take the child after birth, it's our job to ask you about your choice for the possible adoption of the newborn. Can you share with us your feelings on this, how you feel about that situation?
Like if the child was born with a defect?
Yes.
I mean, it would definitely be something I'd have to discuss with my husband. That's a whole situation we haven't really discussed. My personal beliefs with my children was that, regardless of what happened with them, however they were, we were going to take them either way. I would like the intended parents to feel the same way, but at the same time, I understand they're also putting a cost forth into this for a child. So I feel like that's something that would just really need to be discussed further with the intended parents to figure out where to go from there.
And by the way, this is just an idea. You can change your mind anytime you want. This is just we have to put it out there. Yeah. Would you be willing to travel to China for a possible embryo transfer cycle procedure? If this is arranged, both male and female IPs, intended parents, had blood tests conducted in the U.S. FDA lab. You may be asked to go to China because one of our IPs have their embryos stored in China and cannot have them transferred to the U.S. The China Yulan contracted hospitals agreed to accept non-Chinese surrogates for embryo transfer procedures in the event that the child is delivered outside of China. So the question is, are you willing to go to China? In an extreme situation.
In an extreme situation, as long as my husband could come with me for support on that one,
That's right, yeah.
I would definitely be willing to do that.
That's wonderful. Thanks. One more thing. Are you willing to help this is different than the breast milk, but are you willing to help the IP with the care of the child after birth? Why don't you give us an idea of how you could do that? Because they have needs.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, definitely. It's something that I love. I love being able to help new moms out. Recently did that with a cousin and a very good friend of mine in the past month. And so with the care, whether it be helping the intended mother out, yes. I personally wouldn't want to spend a whole lot of time with the baby afterwards. Just as a one-on-one thing, nursing, etc., I'd be okay with pumping. I wouldn't want to do a one-on-one just to avoid the bonding, that would eventually take place. But yeah, I would definitely be able, whatever I can do to help, would be willing to do that.
Thank you very much, Nicole. You did a real nice job. Thank you. Very good.